Hello and welcome to another weekly Word for Women. I'm Patty Howland, and this week I'm coming to you from the newly redecorated fireside room at church. The past several weeks we were looking at gardening related words, and several times I mentioned the fruit of the Spirit, and so I thought, well, maybe that would be another good little mini series of words to take a look at. We, in the past, did patience as a standalone word, and then we looked at love, joy, and peace during Advent because those were Advent-related words. But we still have kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control to take a look at. So for the next 5 weeks, I think we'll be looking at those words, and I'm going to be interested actually to zero in on the difference between kindness, goodness, and gentleness, because in some ways they are related, and I think it'll be interesting to find out how they are different and specific to each word. The definition of kindness in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, first of all, just says the quality or state of being kind. And so then when I looked up kind, it said of a sympathetic or helpful nature, of a forbearing nature. And I thought it's kind of interesting. When I've looked at the fruit of the Spirit list before, I can kind of see that it's a little bit sequential in that you develop one of these qualities and then you work on the next one, you work on the next one. So love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. To me, it's interesting that self-control is at the end of the list because I think that one's one of the hardest ones to get to. So that's sort of like the furthest one down the road that you'll get to. But it does have kindness after patience. And so then when the definition said of a forbearing nature, that's another word for patience or a patient nature. So being kind has something to do with being able to be patient. I thought that was interesting. If you're like me, you might recall from your childhood, maybe your parents would just say, just be nice. You know, I grew up with 3 brothers, and we were often arguing or fighting about one thing or another. And I definitely remember my mom walking into the room and just saying, just be nice, you know. And I think as a child, you learn quickly what it means to be nice. And in other words, I think it is to be kind. So as I was looking up the words in the Bible that are listed as kind or kindness, it doesn't so much tell us how to be kind. I think that's just kind of a given. But it does seem to point out some different reasons for being kind or results of being kind. And so that's what I was going to focus in on today. One of the main reasons is because it honors God. Proverbs 14:31 says, "Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." And 2 Timothy 2:24 says, "And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful." So if you consider yourself a servant of the Lord, then this is saying you must be kind. That goes with the part of the distinction of being called the Lord's servant. And in a similar way, John 13:35 says, "By this everyone will know that you are disciples if you love one another." And so with that in mind then, when we read in 1 Corinthians 13:4 that love is patient, love is kind, then how are people going to know that we are Jesus' disciples? If we show love by being kind. So it's an example to the world to let them know who Jesus' disciples are. It's people who are being loving and kind. In Titus 2:3-5, there's quite a section of all sorts of things, but I'm going to just zero in on the kind part of it. It says, "Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Then they can urge the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled and pure, to be busy at home, to be kind, and to be subject to their husbands, so that no one will malign the word of God." So to be kind was in the list of those things that the older women are to be teaching the younger women how to do and how to be. But the reason is so that no one will malign the word of God. So again, it kind of gets back to the idea of honoring God with our actions and with being kind. Another area that shows why we should be kind would be for the benefit of ourselves. Proverbs 11:16 says, "A kind-hearted woman gains honor, but ruthless men gain only wealth." So when you're kind-hearted, it brings honor to you. Proverbs 14:21 says, "It is a sin to despise one's neighbor, but blessed is the one who is kind to the needy." And again, talking about the needy or the poor, several times there's references of being kind to them. And what a blessing that is. Proverbs 19:17 says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." So the Lord will reward you. That's a benefit to you. Now, there's even the benefit to others, and of course, just because they're a recipient of your kindness, that in itself is a benefit. But Proverbs 12:25 says, "Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up." And if you think about that, how many times have you been upset or sad about something and someone went out of their way to just say something kind to you, and it does cheer you up. And so think about this like, when you're in church on a Sunday and you just have a chance to connect with someone and talk to them a little bit and just be kind and say nice things. That's going to brighten their day. Maybe it's in the grocery line at the store, or with your neighbor over the fence, or even when you're walking along the lake and just smiling at somebody and saying hi and have a good day or something like that. You don't know what's going on in that person's life at the moment. Maybe they've been really sad or depressed about something, and just the fact that someone takes the time to say a kind word to them could make all the difference in how they feel that day and that week and for a long period of time. It's important that we show kindness to each other. I read just a quick little article in a magazine my daughter had shared with me the other day, and it had contributions from 5 different people about ways to feel closer to others, was the name of the article. And one of them, who was a professor of psychology at a college somewhere, this is what she had to say. "Early in the pandemic, a neighbor asked if I needed anything from the store. I didn't, but the moment still made me feel like there was someone I could count on, and that felt nice. Not only did the gesture reduce my stress, but research suggests my neighbor likely benefited as well. Making a kind offer starts a cycle of appreciation and gratitude. I was thankful for my neighbor, which made me greet her more enthusiastically the next time we saw each other, which made her pleased she had reached out. Such feelings spread like good contagion." And we're so used to, for the last year, about all the bad contagion that's being spread around. But when we share kindness with others, it's like sharing a good contagion. So I guess this week my challenge to you would be to get out there and just spread a little kindness this week. Next week we're going to be looking at the next word in the fruit of the Spirit, which is goodness. So I hope that you'll join me then. But until then, have a good evening, and may God bless you.